Lord, don't let me fail. I wanna be your bride, yeah. When my way grows dark, just keep me by your side. And when my way grows dim, heaven let me see something in my life that God has done for me. Ooh, Lord, don't let me fail. I wanna be your bride. When my way grows dark, keep me by thy side. And when my way grows near, heaven let me see something in my life that you have done for me. Ah, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, family. I don't know where that song came from. Please don't. I mean, I'm full of them. Y'all know I'm crazy. That's why I'm in the mental health. Um, but I wanted to address Sam 22. I think that's yeah. Um, and you asked a question, and a few people asked the same question, uh, and I've heard it asked on other sites. Um, when you're coming out of a fog, fear, obligation, and guilt. That's exactly what I say the fog is. You in fear, you feel like you're obligated, and then you're guilty about whatever you feel like you was obligated to. But whenever the fog is lifted, um, it's very important that we don't play the same tapes over and over and over and over and over again in our mind. The same tapes of abuse, the same tapes of, but with that being said, I also know that it's a process to go into remember those things. Um, but the intention of this vlog is to speak to being stuck in that situation. I mean, I think it's 5 stages of grief, and you should be going through all of those stages as you recover from narcissistic abuse, bad relationship, whatever it is. You have to, missing somebody, getting the diagnosis, whatever the situation is, you have to go through those 5 steps. You know, denial, anger, guilt. Whatever guilt, and then at some point at the end, I believe it's acceptance. And so when I'm saying that to say, when you think about everything that's happened to you, and those tapes keep playing over and over in your mind, what I would suggest is that if you don't journal, start journaling. I think that's real important, and so you can see how obsessive your thoughts are. Because some of us are climbing out the graveyard. I'm personally am climbing out of a grave, and there's a lot of us out there that are on different levels of our recovery. So I remember when I felt like the thoughts were so obsessive. I remember not thinking I could make it to the next minute, let alone the next day. That's how much pain and hurt and anger that I was in regarding my situation. And Lord have mercy, we're not even going to talk about once I tied it all into um, my family dynamics and having to do the grief work, and then continuing to, because it's, as far as I'm concerned, this is a lifelong process. In my opinion, it's like you don't get well and go, okay, I'm done. This don't work like that. I think every day you peel off more and more layers of the crap that people have programmed you to believe about yourself and about others, and that takes time. And it all depends on when you realize that some people maybe get it faster than others. I don't think a lot of people grew up in extremely healthy homes, because if it did, the world would reflect that. Wouldn't, this wouldn't be our outer reality. So obviously, this kind of madness in programming is what is the mantra that goes across everything. It supersedes gender, race, and everything, because what you see is the outer manifestation of all the inner turmoil going on in people's minds, and that's what we're bearing witness to. So when you find yourself in a situation where you are replaying those tapes over and over and over and over and over and over and over again, you didn't express in your email whether these thoughts cause you to regurgitate anger and stuff like that. But what I would suggest, that if that is happening, because in my case that it was, I start going back and getting mad at people for stuff that happened. You're like, ah. But then the more I begin to look at myself and my filthy rags and the behavior that I had manifested because of my programming, it made me move out of the guilt. Maybe does that make sense? And it made me a little bit more forgiving, because I had forgiven myself. And I know that sounds so cliche-ish, but I just think it's true. And so there's a lot of people from my clan that are making comments on my videos about this is stuff that we don't talk about in the black community. And we don't talk about. And the reason why I say this is because I'm not one who tries to put a middle class analogy on a ghetto condition. And I'm not one who tries to overlook the conditions that we have to sometimes navigate through if we're not financially in a situation where, in a situation where we can just manifest the situations that we would like. And the environment that we are exposed to is pretty rough. And in fact, it's real difficult, because the world has flipped it and made it so they kind of glorify it if we talk about how rough we grew up. And I think that's one of the things that just kills me as a musician, as an artist, when I see us continuing to regurgitate the negative things that happen in our communities, because it spreads like a wildflower. And now you have more and more people doing it, and then exactly you play right into the unseen hand. But at the same time, even in those circumstances, a rose can grow. So I'm saying that to say, in spite of your environment, in spite of what you are constantly regurgitating in your mind, the key is to stop those obsessive thoughts. And I suggest journaling. I suggest really, really authentically feel your feelings about whatever it is that makes you angry. And then for me, I have to balance it with, this is just in my opinion, I balanced it with what was the time in my life when I've made somebody extremely angry where they wanted to kill me. Wow. And for me, that worked. I don't know if it'll work for you. It's just a suggestion. And because the more I begin to do that, for me, it allowed me to open up my heart chakras for forgiveness. That's the best way I can describe it. And like I said, I'm not an expert. I'm just somebody that is recovering and realizing what the hell has been going on, not only in my family, in my community, and Lord have mercy, in the church. The narcissism that is on the planet is just mind-boggling. And I don't even want to so much say use that word because I think it's so overused when I say narcissism. Somebody said, just people that are predators. They're not. They're sharks. So they have their place in the ocean. It is the other fish job to stay away from them. Recognize them, identify them. Don't try to fix them. Don't try to say, "Well, shark, let me tell you," because shark gonna eat your. That's what sharks do. So, in my opinion, and I don't mean to, minimize the overplaying of the thoughts because I know I've been there, but I am going to say that begin to journal. Begin to write down what you're angry about. Okay? And get it out so you can physically, aesthetically look at it. And if it helps, it helped me. Maybe you can apologize if it's necessary, or if it'll do any good to yourself. But never would you confront the people that have made you angry. When I say apologize in your mind to the people that you have hurt. Okay? And then for me, it just made the bed a little easier when I start thinking about how ignorant the people were that hurt me. And like I said, to each his own. And I don't know if this is something that a clinical person would tell you to do. Really, it doesn't matter. I'm just telling you what's working and how I feel about it. Because you can't stay stuck. That's obvious. And you know that. Otherwise, you wouldn't even said that. You wouldn't even have mentioned it in the email. So I hope that gives you some kind of insight. And that you're okay just the way you are. You're beautiful just the way you are, and you are enough just the way you are. You just got bad programming, like a lot of us. Hell, 95% of us have extremely crazy programming about ourselves. Okay, and loving ourselves. That's the programming that a lot of us have fallen short with, have been programmed with not so necessarily positive information. Okay? And more than likely, as you know, it came from your family of origin. Okay. So with that being said, I want to thank you for being out there. I hope what I said made some kind of sense and I answered you to the best of my ability. Okay? So, if you like what you hear, please subscribe. And I'll talk to you next time in the mental house. Bye-bye.